welcome back to the 47th edition of. No, I have no idea what edition it is.
It feels like a lot,
It feels like a lot,
but
yeah.
it might not be that far. I mean, we did take several months off, so it's probably a bit too many. But
Welcome back to season 2 of Hitting the Apex.
There you go.
I mean, are we not on to season 3 previewing, 2024, seeing if someone can stop Max?
We might as well, right? I mean, throw Ferrari out of the mix already also while you're at it. But we'll get to that. But today we're going to focus on something else. We're going to focus on Real Madrid getting through. Congratulations to getting through to the now they're in the Elite Eight, as we like to call it, of the
hopefully foreshadowing
the Champions League. Yes, and we are foreshadowing a little bit. I mean, more luck on the men's side than on the women's side, but I think they both got a shot to do some damage to represent well. And if you guys missed it, you should go check out what Vish put out there earlier today on Six Rings Canes on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Check it out. But most importantly, it's how exciting. It's Saudi Arabia week.
I mean, this is where...
How can you put that together, right? Like exciting Saudi Arabia.
I mean, if their fireworks aren't on the track, they will be off the track. So at least you get something, some
possibly
kind of
Aramco, right? Or Aramco, whatever.
Yeah, extortion of the teams to avoid leaving, that kind of stuff. Just normal Formula One stuff.
Correct. By the way, hello, Vish. Hello, Moni. How are you guys doing today?
Hi, guys. It's a Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I'm going to Albany tomorrow, and it's like snowed in, so
it's cold here today.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you guys have been outside, but it's like.
I mean, I have been outside.
Oh, but you're
not
you're
there.
in DC though, yeah.
So yes, it is cold here.
Yeah.
It's Miami cold. It's
Miami cold. It really is.
Yeah, but
it's clear.
Like apparently,
is it really?
Yeah.
Apparently, like a nor'easter went through Albany, so
yeah, I saw that.
It should have cleared out by now, but it's going to be miserable. We better win.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Anyways, getting back to it.
Well, before we got shout out our boy Evan here.
Yeah. What's going on,
Evan?
So we've got a race this weekend. After a 1 week break, the boys head out to Saudi Arabia to the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Yeah, I mean, this is not one that none of us, I think, are very fond of. It's a dangerous track. It's a crappy track. I would have to say it's probably one of our least favorite races of the year, just because it's so dangerous for the drivers. I mean, we've seen some pretty gnarly crashes here, and of course terrorist attacks, right? I mean, whatever, let's just throw that on the side. Terrorist attack last year. So your feelings, guys, on the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix here. We'll start with you, Moni.
I just want to get it over with. Just get it over with, I like that it's a later race because that means we get to have a slow Sunday morning. We get to enjoy our morning, have a cup of coffee, and then get ready to watch the race. But yeah, no. I just want this one to pass fairly quickly. It's only 50 laps, which is great. But yeah, and it's not one of my favorite tracks either. It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just the actual track itself. There's not too many what's the words we can look for? There's not too many bumpers per se. It's all concrete, so it's kind of dangerous, huh, Vish?
Yeah, it's dangerous. Remember, they made some modifications last year after, I can't even, it was one of the Haas's, I can't remember who, it might have been Mick, kind of went into the barrier and was very lucky he didn't get decapitated.
If it was a Haas, it was definitely Mick.
Yeah. But yeah, so they've made a few like slight tweaks. But I mean, even looking at the track layout, which we have on the screen, like you can tell it's squeezed in an area that's not big enough for a racetrack.
Evan calls it a paperclip. That's a pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man.
Oh my God, that is so brilliant. Yeah. That's great.
That is very good. That is very good.
Now I see it right there.
But I mean, the reason the track is like that is it's like it's a street circuit and there isn't room for the track, so they we'll just smash it together. But that's what
basically what they did.
Yeah, and what you can't see here, but obviously we all know, is everything is surrounded by barriers. So if you go off, you hit it. So yeah, not a fun time. This is the track where 2 years ago Max cut a corner to pass Hamilton, and then when he was trying to give he was ordered to give the spot back, and instead of like doing it professionally, he kind of slowed all the way down on the straight and tried to block him so that Hamilton would have to swerve all the way around to get around him. And by doing that, he'd slow down so much that Max could just pass him back.
Right.
And instead, Hamilton ran into him because he was going so slow.
Oh,
this is that track also. Max ended up getting a penalty, and Hamilton's, I don't know how his wing didn't like get completely wrecked, but he managed to finish the race in first. But it's that track. So if you notice the things we've talked about, terrorist attacks, someone almost dying, Max Lewis incident, none of it's about the actual racing because
yeah, this is gonna be this has potential to be a crap show. Let's just put it that way.
Well, especially with Max, I don't know that the track even matters right now. He's gonna win so easily, and then
Yeah, the only thing I could see that could throw things off, which there's a potential, right? Is a couple of pretty bad accidents. God forbid anybody gets hurt, but I'm saying a couple accidents that block the circuit. Nobody can get through on the track. There's red flags. There's a bunch of yellow flags. It could happen. Like we've said, we've seen it before. So that could give the opportunity for it to get kind of spicy out there. So it would be interesting to see what happens, and if there's a yellow flag, if there's red flags, and the cars get bunched up again. What not only I get it. Max is obviously light years quicker than everybody else, but kind of what everybody else does on track, and if anybody tries to take advantage of one thing or the other, strategy is going to come into play here. What we do know is when it comes to strategy, Ferrari has a really good one, right? It's to use all your, what was it? What did they use? Their power units? No,
we're going to cover this a little bit later, but yes, they've used you get two electrical units for the whole season. They changed Leclerc's before the race.
It's a strong strategy to do that,
and then it blew up.
The first two races.
So that was their two.
So now if they continue to blow them up, which listen, hey, stranger things have happened. They could just continue to get penalties, which would be exciting for them. But anyways, continuing on with the race. Ferrari.
I will say you do make a good point. The one advantage you have by being in front is if there is a late kind of yellow flag or safety car, you don't really know if you should pit or not because you give up track position to pit.
Right.
But if you don't, the field's going to be right behind you on fresher tires potentially. It's actually what, obviously they ended up violating the safety car rules, but it is what happened to Hamilton in Abu Dhabi. If he pitted, Max would just stayed out in first, and he's kind of screwed.
Right.
But if he stays out, he's got bad tires, and Max is able to pass him. So there is, that's probably the only way Max doesn't win, a late safety car, which gets him kind of stuck without having a good choice to make. And I mean, you saw that in Bahrain. That's why Zhao ended up with the fastest lap. He put fresh tires on at the end.
Yep.
The Alfa on fresh tires was faster than Max on worn tires. So you can have something happen there.
Exactly. Let's look at FP1 is at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, excuse me. I think you've got a FP2 at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, followed by FP3 on Saturday morning at 9:30. Qualifying is at 1 p.m. on Saturday, and then you've got the race at 1 p.m., which Moni did mention. I mean, that's nice. It's nice and comfortable. It's a 1 o'clock. Well, it depends, right? Because a lot of people are doing a lot of stuff, but for us, F1 degenerates, we will probably be in front of a camera. In front of a TV watching that. So, it's the timings are not too bad for this one. I think just because they're just so far out there in the Middle East, I think it's the time works well for us here
because they do it at night as well.
So. Right. Yeah, so it works out for us. Yeah, if it was an afternoon race, you're probably looking at a 6 a.m. Call time for us. So, but nevertheless, it's going to be an interesting race, I think, and not necessarily for the best reasons. So, we'll see what happens there. Let's hold on a second because my computer. Oh, here we go. Tire compounds. Here's interesting. So we're going with the C2 through C4 this time around. Last week, 2 weeks ago in Bahrain, it was C1, C2, C3. Now we've got C2, C3, and C4. The reds being the softest tire, the C4, and the hard tires being the C2s, followed obviously by the mediums in the C3. This is potentially what do you think, in a two-stop race, just because of all the I don't want to say all the straights, but there isn't many turns. There's a big chicane, right? I can't even see what turn that is.
I
There's a
can't
hairpin.
imagine. I can't imagine that there's not, to your point from earlier, just safety cars that'll.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be opportunistic pitting. So, I mean, Ferrari will probably pit on the first lap. McLaren will pit on every lap. So those two kind of throw off the numbers a little. But
my God.
I mean, they almost did every 5 laps or whatever McLaren was doing with Norris.
Yeah, I don't know.
So taking out like kind of those outliers is probably 1 to 2, but it'll probably be 2 just because there's going to be opportunities under either virtual or regular safety cars where they're just let's do the extra pit stop. It's worth it now. So.
Yep. I mean, look, the tires are different again this year. So these tires haven't been tested out on every track. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they.
We actually didn't really touch on this. There is an additional tire this year. So you mentioned the C1 to C3 that they brought to Bahrain. This was C2 to C4. There is actually a C0, which is like a harder tire. So the new like hard tires that they were using was an extra tire. So it's kind of in between the medium and the hards. That's why it was usable. So in this case, they've kind of gone back to more traditional. This is a range of tires they would have brought last year, so we'll see what happens with that. But actually, in the last race, there was a new tire that they had not really used before.
The weather we're looking at.
It's hot. It's the desert.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot. So
it's dry. It's hot and dry.
What's your take on the weather, guys? Hot.
I mean, if you look at the weather forecast, it's like sun with heat.
Yeah, sun with hotness. Perfect. Moni, who are your drivers to watch? Drivers and teams to watch. What do you want to see?
Okay. This is intense. This is intense. Okay. I think that my team to watch would probably have to be Alpine. Because number one, Gasly. I think he had a not too shabby debut 2 weeks ago, right, at Bahrain. So I'm interested in seeing how Gasly performs this weekend. And then, of course, poor Ocon, he had such a bad time last race that I would really like to see how he will perform this weekend and if he will have a different story to tell. So that's why Alpine is on my radar. I wonder if they're going to be towards the front of the grid this weekend for the race. And my driver to watch is probably going to be Leclerc, honestly. He did fairly well last year. I believe he had the fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken, in Saudi Arabia. And with his penalty for Sunday, I feel that there's a fair amount of pressure on both Ferrari and Leclerc. But regardless of how he performs on Saturday, he's going to have a hard time on Sunday, being set back a couple places. So I want to see if he's able to recover at all, if he's going to be able to get to the front. And interesting to see if, honestly, both Ferraris would be able to narrow the gap with Red Bull this Sunday. So yeah, team Alpine, driver Leclerc.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think you bring up a great point with Leclerc. I think this is, he is taking the 10th place penalty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the best outcome for him is to sit on pole, right? To get pole so you can be on at 10th or 11th, start in P10 or P11, whatever it is.
Right.
Well, if it's a 10th place penalty, so if he ends up on pole, he'd be at P11, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the best scenario for him, is to do that, and then a complete mess happen in front of him. either at the start, in the middle of the race, or whatever, which is a strong possibility, as we mentioned already, right?
Mhm.
It's for something to happen, a crash, a yellow, a red flag, and for him to have the opportunity to then have all the cars kind of bunch up again. And we all know Ferrari is fast, right? Regardless of how crappy everything else is, they're still fast cars. So
Right.
he's got the opportunity there, excuse me, to make up some to make up some ground and be able to finish strong. Maybe end up on the podium in P3 or something like that. That's a strong possibility. He's gonna have to race brilliantly for that to happen,
Mhm.
but that's the best outcome for him. I don't think P1 or P2 is a possibility. And of course, stranger things again have happened, but that's a strong possibility for him to be able to sit on pole and then, try to catch up. And then of course hope for a yellow flag or something to happen so that he can get out in front. So I like that about Leclerc. That would be my driver to watch as well. But it does say drivers to watch. So I'm going to throw in my other compadre, my other paisa over in Spain from Aston Martin. I want to see what he does again. I want to see if Fernando can kind of continue, his strong showing, obviously in Bahrain a couple weeks ago. Can he do it again? Can he stay on top of the field, and challenge for P2, P3, and stay up there and do a little bit of that.
So do you think anyone eventually told him Stroll is the one who hit him?
Yeah, I guarantee you someone
Because
did. And we're gonna see it next season for sure.
the first half of that race was like, who hit me? That person, did they get a penalty? And they're like, no penalty. They wouldn't tell him that it was Stroll that just ran into him.
Yeah, I think someone had to tell him that. So
after the race, like, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, it was your buddy over there.
It was the owner's son. Keep it down.
I'm trying to think of what team. No, I don't have to think. It's Ferrari. That's the team to watch, right? For me, it's can Carlos Sainz perform well in qualifying as well?
No.
Can he sign in the recovery room after the race?
Alonso saw, because they do the highlights when they're like
Oh,
waiting to go on
gotcha,
the
gotcha,
podium. He saw
gotcha.
Stroll hit him there.
I'm sure.
By the way, shout out to Fernie.
Yeah. Hey, safe travels and make sure you don't hurt yourself out there skiing, bro. Yeah, so for me, it's Ferrari. Of course, they need a bounce back race this weekend. Then they need Sainz to race strongly. They need Leclerc to have a brilliant race to get back up to challenge, for a podium. And I think that if we see that out of them, then we know that they're in this, right? That they're in this. If they can get some solid points, then they can kind of creep back up towards that constructors, whether it's first, second, or third. So that's my take. So it's Leclerc and Fernando Alonso, and then it's the Aston Martins for me as a team.
You mean Ferrari, right?
I'm sorry, Ferrari. Yeah.
Well, you already changed allegiances. They finished on the podium one time, and you're like,
and I'm already like,
Ferrari flag.
Get this flag out of here.
So, real quick, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the track. I think it was this track where like they have the stacked DRS zones, and people were intentionally not passing on the first one last year because then they go around the hairpin, and you keep DRS, and so then it re-detects it or whatever. So, like if you pass in the first one, it'll just get passed back in the second one. That's this track, right?
I think so. I think it is.
Oh, God. And I'm looking at actually. I do have the technology to do this. Believe it or not. So I'm pretty sure it's these two because there's another detection zone here. This is why they normally don't.
This is the one that has 3 detection zones.
Right. And they normally don't do, like normally when there's back-to-back DRSs, they just have 1 detection zone. You saw that in Bahrain. Like when they made the pass in the first zone, they're like, oh, and they still have it. So the car in front would actually still have the wing open. Because there's an extra detection zone here, they intentionally don't overtake towards the end of the lap, so that they're behind at this detection zone and they're in front on the longer straight. Gotcha. And they can pass on the longer straight because if you overtake here, then you end up getting passed back on this one because you're in. So that was the one where like I think it was Leclerc and Max, and one of them slammed on the brakes to try and it was goofball.
Did it.
Yeah, it was just like, and of course they didn't bother to move the detection zone, so it's gonna happen again. The other thing with Leclerc, real quick before I answer your question, is I'm curious what they do with him because I mean, you said if you put it on pole, he starts 11. He's not going to put it on pole. Max is. So like, how far up do they think he can start? Because either way, he's going back 10 spots. There is an option of just saying screw the qualifying, we'll save the tires. Because if you're not going to get up to, I mean, he'll definitely finish top 5 for sure, even if he has a horrible qualifying, if he goes to the whole thing. But that's going through Q1, Q2, Q3, and then dropping back to 15th. Is it better to start 22nd with fresh tires?
Right.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe, especially with we talked a lot about, there potentially being safety cars. If the hard tires work here, they'll probably test it out and test in practice sessions. Put the hards on him, let him cut his way through the back of the field, wait for the first safety car.
True.
Now you're caught all the way up.
Yep.
That's an option too. Now this is Ferrari we're talking about, so
hopefully
that's a lot for them to digest. That's a lot for them to digest. All right, drivers.
Hopefully Fred has other options, other strategies. Go ahead.
In terms of drivers, I want to see what Checo does. I'm just hoping.
Don't say it too loud. Moni will be like, oh.
No, I want him to fight Max. And I know he's not as good, just like Bottas wasn't as good as Hamilton, but he would still like push him in qualifying. He would occasionally win races. And that's also because Mercedes wouldn't, tell him he had to pull over. Hamilton would actually have to beat him. Right. But, Bottas wasn't like not prioritized. But when you have these seasons where one team is dominant, you need the second driver to at least like put up a fight. Otherwise it's going to get really bad. So I'm hoping he, puts on his big boy pants and goes out there and challenges him and says like, hey, this is my team too. Let me go try and win, push him. I think that's the only way we're going to get anything out of that. And the other one, I got to see what Ocon does after that. I mean, it was like he was trying to get penalties on purpose. And the funny thing is he was faster than Gasly the whole weekend. And then he messed the race up badly. Gasly like leaked into the points from the back. Because remember, he qualified. He didn't get out of Q1, but then that lap also got deleted because the crappy lap he did to not get out of Q1 had his time deleted. So he ended up starting in dead last. Gasly did, and he just worked his way up through the field when a bunch of cars dropped out. It's the first race and barely got in the points. Meanwhile, Ocon qualified way up the grid and then pulled up to the grid spot wrong, and it just went downhill from there. So I'm curious to see how he bounces back from that. And then team, I'll go looking towards the back of the rig with Williams. Let's because they were. I mean, I hate to say it, they were faster than McLaren in the last race. They were faster than Haas. Are they going to actually? Because I mean, this could be the first time in a long time where if no one wrecks, you're not kind of putting them in the last two spots.
Right.
I don't know if they'll get points again. A lot went into that happening, including like Leclerc, retiring and stuff.
Again, look at the track though, right? Like
that is true. That is true. Yeah. But I'm curious, like if on merit they're able to continue to get in front of a few teams because it's a pretty big deal.
We'll see. Should be fun. Let's check one more thing before I go grab that. Do we've got any juicy storylines? Okay, so let's start. You know what? This is perfect for me. Let's talk about that Leclerc grid penalty. Talk a little bit about that while I go for a second.
Do you want to go?
Bish, hold on. I have before we talk about the penalty. I have a question. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. Last year, for the tires, if I remember correctly, Max and Leclerc they had pretty much the same exactly strategy that they were on hard tires. Max switched first, I believe, if I remember correctly. I have really bad memory, but he went from hard to medium, right? And then
you have better memory than I do because I have no idea who used what tires last year. So I was like, you're saying these things. I'm like, sounds right to me.
Okay, listen, I forgot to bring it up when we were talking about the tires, and how you were trying to see what would be the strategy that they were going to use this weekend. And I
Yeah.
wonder if it would be also a one-stop strategy also.
Yeah, no, I think it could be. This is not a high degradation circuit because there aren't. I mean, it's a lot of straights, so you're not. The way the tires work is when they corner, the lateral load it pulls it apart, and that's where you get the big degradation. So this isn't a big tire degradation track. It's just that there's usually so many safety cars you end up hitting more times anyway.
Right.
And that's also why they should just throw Ferrari out of the championship for this. This isn't acceptable. Oh, oh, you're back.
Oh, Jazz is back.
We actually didn't talk about it at all.
No,
we started talking about tire strategy again.
Yeah, I had an extra.
Perfect. We don't need to talk about it.
And Fernie made accusations in the chat. I'm not going to show on the screen, but you can deal with that on your own time.
Whatever, Fernie. Leave me alone.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we kind of touched on this earlier. They changed the electrical unit before Bahrain, and then that is actually what went bad when Leclerc retired. So that's all you get for the whole year. So he is taking a 10-place penalty.
It's mind-blowing to me, Aaron.
And the funny part is Vasseur was like, I can't believe people are overreacting. It's only been one race. It's like, dude, you're already taking engine penalties.
Yeah.
Yes, it's only been one race. That's the point. Like, how are you already taking engine penalties?
Oh my god.
Yeah, not. And this is why I went with Checo. What we're talking about, this driver in particular, and this team, is the one we're expecting to challenge Red Bull.
Yeah.
This one. This is our hope.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just get rid of Leclerc and bring Daniel Ricciardo over to us. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, actually, I saw. No, espérate. Okay, I want your opinion on this. Hold on, espérate. Because I saw, I read, how this guy, he was just saying how Christian Horner is like a genius team principal, and that the only reason why he brought Danny Rick to Red Bull was because there was so much like controversy going on with Max's father-in-law. Remind me of his name.
What, PK?
Yeah, PK, and all the comments surrounding Lewis Hamilton, and that the only reason why is because they needed a distraction over at Red Bull to kind of just like sheer away from all of this, sheer away from Max's and Checo's weird beef after Brazil and a bunch of stuff, so that the only reason why Danny Rick came over to Red Bull is because they needed this infectious smile, and that everyone just needed to think about the pool dive in Monaco from 2018, and that's the only reason why they got him. Do you guys agree?
I don't know. I don't think it matters who the reserve driver is for Red Bull, but
not even a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't think at all that had anything to do with it. I don't think Red Bull cares. They are kind of, I mean, their reputation's in the toilet. Like, they're known as complainers / cheaters, and I don't think they care because they win, and that's why it wasn't just Nelson Piquet that he's, I mean, let's be blunt, he's basically a Nazi. It wasn't just that, it was that Max kind of defended it. It was like, no, everyone, like when everyone else was like, this is abhorrent, and they're banning him from the pit lane, Max kind of defended him, which I guess he's in an awkward position there. But if Checo had done the same thing, they would have suspended him. So they don't care. Like, Max is going to win, and that's all they care about. And they only really care about, they're going to win the constructors by default, but they only really care about winning the drivers' championship. So, like, Max is going to keep winning, and that's their reputation is they're scumbags, but they win, and I think they're comfortable with that. I think Daniel's there because he's the life of the party. He's going to be fun in the hospitality.
Yeah.
I want the party, right?
That is a symbiotic relationship. He's going to love their hospitality. They're going to love having him there. So I think that is why that happened. don't think there's any plans to get him into the car. And frankly, like the reserve driver, even when it's someone with his popularity, like no one's paying attention to him on the weekend. Like he didn't come up really.
Yeah.
So I don't think it really matters for that sense. I think it'd be hilarious if for whatever reason Checo or Max can't do one of the races, and there's no way Ricardo's staying in racing shape. So
Yeah, no chance.
to cram him into the car and see if he can drive. But yeah, no, he's there to party, and they like having him around because he's fun.
Yeah.
And I think that had a lot more to do with it than I don't think there was any kind of PR thing there. Because remember, he also could have gone to Mercedes, but Mercedes would actually make him do work.
Right. Pretty much.
Did you see? This is totally off topic, but it is Red Bull. Did you see that Red Bull pilot? That his name's Luke Cepella. He landed his plane on the Burj Al Arab hotel on the helipad. He landed it. It's like one of those single engine planes. I don't know. Sorry, it was Red Bull. Kind of distracted me for a second. It's pretty cool. Anyways, Red Bull landed a plane on a helipad over at Burj, which
I mean they gotta do something challenging. F1 isn't for them right now.
I'm
So.
so dead.
No kidding, man. Did you see it, Moni?
I heard about it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I'll send it over.
Yeah, send it because I did hear about it.
I would send it to I would send it to Vish, but hashtag no Instagram Vish.
Oh yeah.
So
No Instagram Vish.
At no Instagram Vish. That's all right, man. What else do we got, man? Vish? Talk to me.
Let's see. Ferrari has their new wing design that they've been trying to do this year that, was kind of falling apart. I mean, we never really even talked about that. Like the first fast lap in qualifying, Leclerc comes around the last
that
corner.
wing that was doing this?
Well, no, he comes around the corner to start his flying lap, crosses the start-finish straight, and pieces start falling off the car. Remember, they had to red flag it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my God.
Again, this is the team that needs to be Red Bull. This team. But anyway, they're saying they're all in on this design. They're gonna.
But isn't that scary though? That even with all of this crap, they're still the ones that need to be like. Imagine they got their shit together. I had to say it. Like, imagine they got their shit together. I mean, it'd be more competitive. I'm not saying they would beat them, but at least we'd be having a good conversation about it. Like, hey, like now what we're doing is we're just crapping on them, right? Like it is what it is. It's warranted. They look like a bunch of clowns out there still, but imagine this is a team that can still be competitive enough, even with all this crap happening to them, they can still be competitive enough to challenge for the constructors. It's ridiculous to me. It's mind-boggling how this happens to a team like this with so much prestige, so much money, so many resources, and they still can't, get it together. So it's kind of sad, but whatever. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's in a way it's sad. In a way, it's encouraging because we should be talking about how Ferrari and Mercedes.
Yeah, what Mercedes
should be chanting them, but I think it's different, right? I think the reason Ferrari's a little bit more disappointing. We'll talk about some of the stuff Toto Wolff said this week about Mercedes design concept, but it's that there's more potential in that car.
Yeah.
And they keep screwing it up. And even, everyone was like, wow, look, Alonso got third. He got third because, Sainz, like they kind of messed up his strategy and because Leclerc blew up.
Right.
He was still 40 seconds off of Max. It's not like
he
went there. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, Aston Martin obviously is a lot better than last year, but also Ferrari once again did not get the maximum points out of there. And I think that's because I think you're looking at the Mercedes like this car sucks. It shouldn't suck, right? That's a whole other issue. But you're like, they're not going to do much better. The car sucks. Then you look at the Ferrari and you're like, it's fast. Why are you guys in fifth place? Why'd you pit and put the wrong tire on? What are you doing? That's why it's so much more frustrating because there is more potential in the car. There's not Red Bull potential, but they should be up there, be able to challenge, be able to win some races this year, and hopefully they will.
Well, I mean, did you speak on Mercedes's?
So this is I referenced this. So Mercedes has this what's called no side pod design. It's this radical design that they went in with the new design concept. It hasn't really worked. It was rumored that was what's causing a lot of the porpoising last year. They made some slight rule changes. And also, if you notice, all the teams have gotten it under control now. You're not seeing the bouncing on anyone anymore at all, which is when they evolve the design that happens. So they came with the new car this year after all the off-season development, everything. Show up, still sucks, and then after the race, Total was like, "Yeah, this entire design is bad. Like, we're not gonna be able to fix it. We have to start over, essentially." So they got that going for them, and apparently they have a bunch of upgrades in the works, and they're like, "That's not gonna help either." Because it's based on this existing design concept. So I don't expect them to be competing anytime soon at the top. I mean, and then that's where again it fairly or unfairly it comes back to Ferrari again to like your only hope. Please do something. So this.
Thanks for putting that amount of pressure on us.
I mean that is. That's where I mean, look, Max is going to win. There's no way anyone's going to like actually get more points than him. This is over, but at least you want to see like some competitive racing, some battles at the top, some like, hey, Ferrari won this week because the whole thing where like that's completely kind of gone last year, which is this is a Ferrari track, they're the best here. Like at the gap in Bahrain was so bad. It's kind of like, is that even going to happen? Are there even? Because there's always tracks where even like Mercedes is winning the championship. There are always tracks they'd show up to, and Red Bull's faster this week,
right? And
they would win, right? And you at least are hoping for some of that, like at least something here.
I don't know. It's gonna be tough, man.
I would like Max to lose a race this year which is not a DNF.
Right? Yeah, like legitimately.
Yeah, like legitimately. I'm not DNF and not like a screw up, like. His wing fell off, but he finished 8th because of or what, like just legitimately just on pace at least once. If that can happen, that'd be good.
Wishful thinking, my friend. Wishful thinking.
Our man Checolamoni, he can do it. He can do. He's got the material.
If there's anybody that can do it, it's his own partner.
He's got the machinery.
I'm telling you, I light a candle. I light a candle every night, and I pray for a miracle.
Yeah, well, we all do. So
I guess the other thing that kind of happened, speaking of Ferrari news, is apparently their design chief is going to McLaren.
Good. Get out of here. I don't know.
He's got to be the guy who designed the parts that fall off the car.
Well, of course he is.
I mean, McLaren's like, get me that guy.
Last year said, the hell with that guy. Get out of here. Enough of this. No more guys named. No more Hispanic last names around here. We don't need that. We need Italian last names, or we need French last names. I don't know what Vassar is, but
be French, right?
Yeah, I think he's French. Yeah, get me the Frenchman.
I mean, did they check with Carlos Sainz before instituting that policy? Because I don't know if he's in favor of that.
I know, man. What happened? David Sanchez, get out of the Spaniard. No more.
Well, apparently this has been in the works for a while. It kind of leaked this.
Unless you're Cuban. If you're Cuban, come on. We know a bunch of mechanics in Cuba that can do a better job than some of these guys.
I mean, don't even need tools. They'll just figure it out. They'll just make it happen. That electrical unit, man, they'll be like, we use this one for 5 years. No need to change it. It's going to keep working.
Oh, man. Just put a little, put a little Vicks Vapor Rub on it and you're good to go, man. Don't worry about it. Whatever. That's not even. Yeah, get out of here, David. You're out. You're done.
Well, so apparently
this is like that whole thing, like getting rid of. It's like when you see like, that certain teams get rid of like the strength and conditioning coach, or or the equipment manager, and or someone
so,
that okay, maybe he's a little more important than the equipment
he's
manager.
Significant. Okay, so this is someone that
the offensive line coach.
So this was not a firing. This was a poaching. And he's technically not at he's technically not at McLaren yet because they have non-compete clauses, so he has to wait like a certain amount of time.
He's there.
That's when they say they're on gardening leave.
Right. He's gardening, all right.
He's on gardening leave. But anyway, apparently he's close to your boy Leclerc, and Leclerc is pissed. So
Well,
So,
I know there was rumbling. Somebody mentioned Leclerc might be leaving Ferrari. That guy's not gonna. He doesn't want to leave Ferrari. So
yeah, where's he going?
let's relax. Let's relax.
But where's he going?
And by the way, we just got the show started. Now that Gus is in the chat,
Okay,
welcome everybody to season 2 of Hitting the Apex.
Should we just start over? Here's
Yeah.
the track. Yeah, so but that is, a lot of these.
Big. It's big.
Well, I mean, Austin Martin stole a bunch of Red Bull's people, and then they stole the car as well, which probably helped more than the people. But, this is part of this is the cost caps, like all your personnel count against that, except for the drivers.
Gotcha.
So, that's why Toto Wolff was so mad about the breach last year. Is like we had to fire engineers because we couldn't afford them. These guys are just going over the cost cap.
That's crazy.
And what happens to those engineers? The guy that Mercedes wants to keep, or Red Bull wants to keep, or Ferrari wants to keep that they can't afford because of the cost cap, is way better than the guys at the teams right now that are frankly probably under their cost cap because only a few teams actually spend up to it. And yeah, it's open season. You can poach the best people off of another team because you can overpay them and they can't afford to match that because it won't fit in their cost cap. So that's why you're seeing so many. I mean, half the team bosses moved this year. You're seeing like all of this like inner team movement because actually the back of the grid has more money to spend on stuff because frankly it doesn't go into the car. They don't spend like Haas could afford all the best engineers. They don't pay for the car.
Interesting.
Like they're not hitting their cap.
Yeah.
So McLaren was able to essentially pay him more money because they have more. It's just like in other sports. There's a salary cap. They have more money under it. They can give him a raise that Ferrari can't match.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of McLaren, this whole thing of them being interested in Red Bull Ford engines for 2026, I want to get Moni's thoughts on this, okay? But I'm going to say one thing. Get your own damn engines. Stop with this. Get your own damn engines, McLaren. If you ever want to compete again, you got to get your own damn engines. This whole thing, using a Mercedes engine, using a Ferrari engine, using whatever it is, I don't care. I'm just throwing names out there. Using use your own. Figure out a way to get your own damn engines because McLaren at the back of the grid is not a good look, Moni.
Yeah. Well, maybe by 2026 they'll be in the front.
Well,
so.
In front of what exactly?
You know what it feels like? It feels like this whole engine thing. It feels like a Disney crossover episode. When there was this one episode where like all the actors in each Disney show would just join one episode. Like you have like Selena Gomez and then Hannah Montana and then the twins and then it's just a big mix.
Right when you started this path, I was like, Jazz and I are about to feel really old, and you delivered, and it was no disappointment.
I'm sorry. Okay, I can put it into context. What did you guys watch?
I don't think if we told you, you would know what the hell we're talking about.
Captain Planet.
Captain Planet. I don't even know what that is, man.
What?
Yeah, what is that? I'm
done with you guys. I'm done.
Captain
Evan, they never had their. No, what I mean is like, get their own. Like, yeah, I know they won a lot with the Mercedes engine before Mercedes had their own team. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like,
also, like you went with Coulthard instead of Hakkinen on the used Mercedes or Hamilton even. Okay, I've never seen that before in my life.
Yeah, Captain Planet. You never heard of that song, Captain Planet? He's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero.
Oh man, he's Captain Woke Planet. What happened here? Pollution down to zero.
You never saw the Captain Planet?
I did not see Captain Planet. I'm trying to remember what.
Wow, there you go, Fern. You see, Captain Planet. He's our hero. Fern knows what I'm talking about, man.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Oh wow, bro.
Yeah, me either. I'm learning something new.
I used to like watch like Transformers and Voltron. Yeah, Transformers. You remember Voltron?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
I used to watch He-Man.
He-Man was there.
All right.
He-Man was there. All right. I just did Captain Planet blind spot.
Oh man, Captain Planet was the man.
Yeah, but the whole like at least for me, like I never used to watch like Disney growing up, like as a
Yeah, neither
channel.
did I.
That was like I think later than us.
Yep.
We didn't have all this access, Moni. You had like 3 channels, is whatever the hell they put on Saturday morning cartoons. That's what you watched.
I mean, yeah, he was on. He was on at that time. What are we
Yeah,
talking
no,
about?
that was what you would do. It was like
Yeah.
Saturday morning, they'd show the cartoons. That was the only
That's
kids
it.
program you got for the whole week. There was no Disney dedicated
No.
stuff where you just like kid shows all day. So that's what we got. Anyway, what was this about?
Anyway,
Oh, the engines.
We're comparing it to '90s cartoons.
Back when McLaren used Mercedes and Honda, Captain Planet was real big.
Yeah, he was.
Wait, so are both Ford and Audi for 2026?
Mhm.
Both of
Yeah.
them.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, okay, so
Yeah,
that's
so Audi is the Sauber group, that engine.
Right.
Ford is partnering with Red Bull.
With Red Bull.
And Honda has filed paperwork to come into the sport, but is not actually committed to come to the sport. So
they're
McLaren's
not 100%.
apparently talking to Honda and talking to Red Bull.
I mean, a smart thing for McLaren to do is, well, obviously, if Honda wants to jump back in, is to go with Honda. That's just my take. Like
That is the ambitious move.
Yeah.
And that is the
it's the right move.
well,
I mean,
it's the move if you're trying to compete, and
Right.
I've lost any confidence that this team gives a crap anymore. It's pathetic. The way they've been conducting themselves for basically a decade. They're not trying to win anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go with the Red Bull engines or stay with the Mercedes one, because it probably is cheaper. Because if you're working with Honda and you're the works team, that's where the money comes from. Like when they worked with Honda and won, they worked with Honda on the development of the car to fit the engine. Actually, Mercedes bought 48% of McLaren, so it was McLaren Mercedes with Mercedes. That was the Mercedes works team.
Right.
That's how they were winning races. And then when Mercedes started their own team, they kind of left McLaren. So there was never, they were, to Jazz's point, that they were the team, just like Red Bull was for Honda, right? Red Bull wasn't making those Honda engines, but they were developing them together. Those were made for Red Bull. And then AlphaTauri used them, and anyone else, if they wanted to, would have used the Red Bull engine that was made for them specifically. So one of the reasons McLaren left Mercedes and went back to Honda was the thinking that they can't win using Mercedes engines against Mercedes. They need their own, and then the Honda thing obviously didn't work out, and then they went, forget all that, we'll just finish 7th. They've been doing that ever since, except now they're finishing 27th out of 22. But I mean, there's got to be like 10. You got to go negative points if you pit more than 5 times. Like, I mean,
that's ridiculous.
Anyway, but so we'll see. Like you said, I hope they also go with Honda or do something that is where they're the lead team with that manufacturer. But I've seen nothing ambitious out of this group in a long time. In fact, this is the year, or last year's the year you would have seen it. There are new regulations coming in. If you really want to take that next step, that's where you push the envelope, and they didn't do anything.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But let's get to the most fun, the funnest part. I'm gonna go with super, super bad grammar. The funnest part of the night.
That is bad grammar.
Yeah, well, but what the hell? The most funnest part of the night is predictions.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Vish, what is your super most funnest, bestest predictions that you want to give for the Saudi Arabia GP? Jesus.
Well, I mean, God, this is so like Max to win, which is I can't like get the winning car wrong in every race, so eventually I have to pick him.
You're all right. Okay, you're right. All right.
On the other hand, maybe this is the race he doesn't win because I did this, but Checo second, third Leclerc cutting his way through the field.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna bring back a classic. Surprise, George Russell DNF.
Russell DNF. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I got to play the greatest hits, man. This is what the people show up for.
I like it. I like it when you do that. All right. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Max winning it. Duh. But I'm gonna go. No, I can't do it. I'm not gonna do something crazy. I'm not gonna do it.
You went to say Carlito, weren't you?
No, I wasn't. That's it's a Ferrari, so they
said
can still be up there. No, because I was gonna go with Sir Lewis, but it's a little crazy considering
the car is crap.
Yeah, the car, it is what it is. So I just don't want to have the same thing you have, Vish. So I'm gonna go blah blah blah. I'm gonna go Checo, and I'm gonna go Sainz in third with Leclerc in fourth. But whatever. That's not obviously my surprise. But I'm gonna go with. Would it be a surprise if the Williams are in the points again?
One or both? What are we talking about?
Eesh.
Either way, yes. The answer was yes.
Yeah, right?
My question was irrelevant. Yes, I think so.
Williams in the points again. All right.
Because if you think about it, right, that means they finish ahead of Ferrari or Red Bull or Mercedes and Alpine. Who's after Alfa Romeo looked quick. Yeah. Oh, I missed Aston Martin. They have to finish ahead of multiple of these teams.
I mean, Evan has the best surprise so far, bro. Woo! He's got Lando in the top 10. Wow.
I mean, it is gonna take an awful lot of safety cars with his pit stopping to do that. But Mace is the race. Every 5 laps there's a safety car. It's like setting up for him.
He's a good enough driver. Yes.
He's the car, on the other hand.
The car, that's a different thing. Anyway.
How do we feel about this checks? I don't know if I like this.
Checks.
I hate it. It's Checo.
It's Chequito. He's not Vomito anymore. Russell's Vomito, so yeah.
No, that is like the biggest character development I've ever witnessed.
I know, right? Aren't you proud of me?
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, come on now. I got love for Chequito now.
See, this is what happens. We so want someone to challenge Max. We're like, that Checo's not that bad. Now that I think about it,
I like him. He's a funny guy.
Yeah. He's always been underrated, Checo.
Modi, what do you got?
Okay, I'm gonna go rogue.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna go rogue. I'm gonna say Checo first.
Yeah, of course you would.
Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Yes, guys.
Okay. All right.
It's just because Vish is jinxing something. I feel it in my heart.
I like it. Fish, please, more of it, right?
I'm gonna be in. Hopefully, I'll still be in Albany because we wouldn't have lost on Friday. So I'm not even gonna be paying it. I won't even know. I'll look later and be like, oh, Checo won. I do have magic powers.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Vish is jinxing something, and I have a gut feeling. So I'm gonna go Checo first. I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna. You know what?
Wow.
I'm ready for you, Jazz. You know what I'm gonna do? Leclerc Sainz.
You're gonna demonetize this YouTube stream. Is what you just did.
Leclerc Sainz. Nah, YouTube doesn't know Spanish.
There were tens of cents at stake there, Rody. You just cost us.
No. It's a baby one. It's a baby one. It wasn't bad. I swear to God.
All right.
And then my surprise would have to be Ocon DNF.
Oh, poor Esteban. Again.
Oh, poor guy, man.
No, I loved how he was like, I've been doing this my whole racing career, now it's a penalty. It's like, you pulled up past the pit grid your entire racing career and haven't gotten a penalty? These were not close things. These were like obvious. You pulled up to the stop arm, they touched the car before 5 seconds, you sped in the pit lane. Those are not things you get away with.
All right, well, that's that. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the Twitter, though, right? Hitting the Apex on Twitter. Make sure you check us out there. We'll be tweeting a little bit about the qualifying and the race, going back and forth. You'll probably see Vish. If you check out Vish's timeline this weekend, it's going to be an absolute shit show. It's going to be awesome. Please, if you
I
want
mean, there's too
entertainment,
much. I mean,
go to Vicious Twitter
oh
handle
god.
at
I'm gonna
VRP.
be, you know what? I'm gonna be too nervous. I'm gonna be in the stadium. It's off my phone. I'm gonna be like,
Oh man,
make the free throw. By the time I
Yeah.
can get it out there, it's gonna
go
be like,
follow like Six Rings Canes this weekend. HTA hitting the apex a little bit, but if you want to follow an entertaining Twitter handle this weekend, you got to go to at VRP 2003. That's where it's at this weekend.
it's gonna be a
For
long
sure.
weekend. Hopefully,
For
a
sure.
successful one.
Hopefully, a good one. A long.
Otherwise,
good
I'm
weekend.
abandoning ship. Like I'm technically
Oh,
there through
my.
because if we win, you don't know when the game is on Sunday, so I'm flying back Monday morning because it could
Oh,
be like a
boy.
night game. If we lose on Friday, I'm the hell. I don't care what the change fees are. I'm getting the hell out of there.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Why do you want to spend another second in Albany?
I know. I cannot. Man, Orlando was right there for us, and they sent us to Albany.
Well, I'm headed to Kansas City in July, so that should be interesting.
Well, hopefully hopefully the basketball team's headed to Kansas City next week because that's where they'll be if they
maybe I'll give them a little good juju now by saying
there you go. Everything flows to Kansas City.
Moni, what you got going on this week? Anything exciting? Any premio nuestro? Anything that's going on here? You know? What we got? A Bad Bunny video? You're gonna be a video vixen? What's going on here?
Whoa!
You know,
keep it.
There's nothing wrong with that. Be one of the girls in the video. I don't know.
There's a connotation there, man.
Not at all, man. We know Moni.
Yes, that's why I said whoa.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You're gonna be a backup dancer on a Bad Bunny video. Is that better?
Well, you never know. You never know, guys. I have to keep it low key because,
or maybe a Maluma video. I don't know.
Guys, I have to keep it low key. There's a lot of high profiles. I can't be revealing information.
You gotta keep it hush hush. I get it. Fair enough.
Happy St. Pat's.
Yes, everybody be safe out there. I will be doing nothing because what for?
I will be at a basketball game.
You'll be at a basketball game.
Wearing green though. I can wear green. Look at that.
Good? Yeah.
I can wear green.
I'll wear green too. I promise I'll wear green.
I can wear green.
I can wear green too. I'll wear green while watching the games.
Although I like to wear orange on the road because it's obnoxious, and I just want to be like bright and annoy
wear
people.
Wear an orange hat. You got the orange hat on.
I have multiple orange hats.
I'm sure you do. Trust me. If you open this up here, you'll see.
Like the orange is like how obnoxious do I want to be here? Because it sticks out so much that like if I really want to annoy people, I'll put orange stuff on.
Well, look, listen. Maybe I give McLaren some papaya power a little.
Oh yeah, I was about to say
that
applied to McLaren.
It's not, but what the hell. St. Pat's worst day of my year. I bet it is.
Isn't that Margs on tap?
You gotta bring up all the fights over there with all the people who think they're Irish for a day. Anyways, make sure you check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. here on the 5 Reasons Sports.
I will say the last thing. At some point, I will cut a new intro.
Yeah, that's all right. No worries, man.
Well, I was going to do it, and then I was like, "Is Moni actually coming back?"
I never doubted you for a second.
That is true. He's like, "She'll be back." I'm like, "I'm not spending all this time putting it in." I am an open book, and I will admit I had doubts. So I was like, "I'm not going to cut this whole intro together," because I had like 3 months when we were off to do it. By the way, and I was like, Moni doesn't come back, and then she's going to be the intro to do it over again.
That's true.
That's why he's a smart guy, He wants to.
I did have the option of just asking you, "Hey, are you coming back?" You said yes, and I could have done it. But why would I do that? So.
Yeah, I know the suspense. The suspense is so much better. Oh man.
So anyway, at one point when I don't know about this week, and I'm kind of busy, but when I get some downtime, the floating tire will be replaced with a proper introduction.
No rush. Listen, Rome was not built in a day.
No, was it?
Yeah, but the McLaren was.
And that's why they're at the bottom of the grid. Everybody say bye. Bye.